Today, we are discussing the root of all evil. But before we do that, let's talk about culture for a second. So culture, so you got the big chart there. It says culture, right? It does? Okay, good. It says culture, and all the different things go into culture. So real fast it goes like behavior and faith and religion, food and art, drama, music, attitudes, beliefs, language, customs, and rituals. That's all part of culture. You know, in the early 20th century, up through the earliest 20th century, so we're talking about the 1950s, earliest 1960s, the idea out there was that individual cultures had their own niche, that there was a Japanese culture, and that the Japanese, they lived like this, and they listened to this kind of music, and they ate this kind of food, and that was the Japanese culture. And then you had the French culture, and you had the Australian culture, and then you had the crazy Soviet Socialist Republic of Latvia culture in the 1950s, and anthropologists believe that they were individual cultures, and you could identify groups of people simply because of these right here, and that all the cultures had been like that since almost forever. And the Japanese have always kind of been like that, and the French have always kind of been like that. Okay, well, we know that's not true, but that's kind of what people were teaching and how people thought about how the world worked back up to the mid-1900s. Okay, so click. But here we are in the year 2020, and we know that that is not true, that we don't have a Samoan culture necessarily, or a Tasmanian culture necessarily, or a Japanese culture. We know that it's actually a blend of cultures at this point. Because of globalization. So you have, certainly you have the Japanese culture, they have the Shinto religion, and they eat their raw fish, and they have their, what do they call that, the businessman, you'd think I would know that because, I taught over there, but the point is that they do have some aspects that are, I don't want to say uniquely Japanese, but are definitely Japanese stereotypes. But if you go over there today, when I was teaching over there in late November, here comes all the Christmas trees, and you're thinking, I'm pretty sure Shinto is not a big Christian Christmas tree kind of a thing. No, they're just appropriating the idea of the gift giving. So, and then I was about to say something about the Japanese music. What do we call that? You're yelling at me right now. K-pop, that's actually Korean pop, but J-pop. So, and I guess we're appropriating that. And so here we have a very young-looking President Obama, and he's interacting with Native Americans, and we think about, golly, the appropriation of Native Americans and how their cultures have changed over the years. And then down here we have ladies from India, based on their dress, and taking selfies. So the change of culture is pervasive just about everywhere, and whether that's through interaction of other cultures like globalization, or whether that's interaction with an environmental issue, or whether that's just natural selection, we have all sorts of different ways of changing how we interact with each other. All right, so for example, if you take Tasmania, about to say Tanzania, but that's a different part of the world. Tasmania. So Tasmania is that fairly good-sized island just south of Australia. There's a land bridge that attached to them, but then after the Ice Age attached those two things, and then after the Ice Age, Tasmania became its own island, and so a whole bunch of native okay. And a whole bunch of Australians, native Australians, Aborigines, that's the word I was looking for, down in Tasmania kind of got cut off. And so for it's been 10,000 years or so since the last Ice Age, and they had been cut off from the rest of Australia. They formed their own culture. But once they were rediscovered, then we found out that even though that they were on their own little island, they went through all the different cultural situations that other people in the world went through. They went through revolutions and wars and societal changes, just like the rest of the world did, even though they were cut off from Australia and everybody else. Tasmania. So what do you know about Tasmania? I mean, right? So, you're sitting here thinking, Tasmania. I mean, there's, the Tasmanian devil, right? So, it's a real thing, yeah? I mean, obviously we have Taz from Looney Tunes. There's Taz. But there you go. There's Tasmanian devil. There she is. She's not very big. Sharp teeth. Sharp teeth. Well, you can kind of see the, where am I? So the teeth over here, I can't see in my little screen here. The sharp little teeth here, goodness. And then, look how cute they are, the little bitty puppy. I don't know, would you call them puppies? I mean, I think they are Tasmanian puppies. I mean, they're not dogs, and they're not cats. They're Tasmanian devils. But there you go. Now you know as much about they are carnivores, clearly. And they're mammals. And... I probably should have looked up some fast facts about Tasmanian devils. I didn't. I don't get paid enough to look up strange facts. No, actually, no, I don't get paid enough, but I look up strange facts. I don't know why I didn't. Okay. Moving on. Hey, so in these cultures that are developing around the world, and especially really after the French Revolution, there's an idea out there that says, hey, equality, right? I mean, equality. The French Revolution. Equalité, fraternité, liberté. I knew there's another one. Equality. Everybody should be equal. All men are created equal. They're endowed by their Creator with certain... Right? Yes, excellent. Oh, and then also freedom. Freedom. Yes, that also sounds good. So equality and freedom, that sounds good. We should have that in our culture. Yes, excellent. And then you realize that those are opposites. Right? I mean, they kind of are. The more freedom I have, no, let me do the opposite way. The more equality I have, you can argue the less freedom I have. The more we put into making people equal, well, that means that the people who, for lack of better terms, that are our betters, we have to take away whatever they have that makes them better to bring other people up and or to bring them down. So these people who had the freedom, more freedom, they're going to lose their freedom to make everybody equal. Well, is that fair to them? Well, it's fair that, people are created equal, but is it fair to take away the better people's stuff? Because now we're talking about impeding freedoms. Okay, so the more freedoms I have, well, then that doesn't help people being equal, because some people have advantages that other people don't. For example, just simple stuff that is out of your control. Excuse me. Like how rich your parents were, and or where were you born, and or your skin color, and or your sex, and or, there are just certain things that you do not have control over. Does that make that fair? It's an interesting argument out there, right? So here in the United States, we have the conservatives and liberals, and it's kind of funny when we say conservatives and liberals here, because when you compare conservatives and liberals in the United States to the conservatives and liberals in, say, Europe, our conservatives and liberals are basically we're right in the middle. We're like centrists compared to their conservatives. Their conservatives are like, we want a king, and their liberals are like, we want communism. So compared to what we have. All right, so equality versus freedoms. I know this is a huge, huge generalization. But in general, the Democrats in the United States of America, the Democratic Party, want more equality. And so how do you get equality? Well, you have taxes. And those taxes, you tax the rich more so, and then the rich contribute to the well-being of the poor. And so the poor are able to come up, and that necessarily means that the rich come down a little bit so that everybody's equal. And that way there's a huge safety net for everybody. So that's the Democrats' general platform. The Republicans' general platform tends to err on the side of freedoms. The Republicans say, why should we pay taxes for other people's, health when they should be in charge of their own stuff? And in America, you should be able to make as much money as you want, or no money if that's what you want to do. So the Republicans tend to land more on we want more freedoms and less government, which is great for the people who do well. It's good for the entrepreneurs. It's good for the people who are able to handle that. The problem there is that there's no safety net, and so if you fail, then you fail. Again, with the Democrats, if you fail, there's a safety net. There's welfare. There's a safety net. With the Republicans, you can't stop me from earning as much as I want to earn, but if I go bust, I go bust. So it's different philosophies. And again, here in the United States, I mean, when I'm saying this, it seems like those are radical. They're really spread far apart. But compared to the world politics, our Democrats and Republicans are pretty close to what they actually believe. Moving on. When you believe two different things at the same time, like we should be all equal and hey, we should all have freedom, that's called dichotomy. Dichotomy, right? And we've talked about dichotomy before. Dichotomy in stories. What are the things that two different ideas in your head that don't work very well, but then they make a great story? We talked about Little Red Riding Hood and Pinocchio and things like that. So dichotomy. So for example, here's the famous Aesop's tale of the fox and the grapes. And so the story says that the fox finds this bunch of grapes hanging from the branch, and he leaps up and he just can't quite get it. And he leaps up and he wants these grapes because they're so delicious and thirst quenching, and they're so wonderful, and he just can't get them. And finally he gives up and he looks up at the grapes and he says, you know what? They were probably sour anyway. So he has two thoughts, and they're dichotomous. I say not dichotomous. They're cognitive dissonant. They're dissonant. And so they would totally quench my thirst if I had them. But since I can't get them, they must be sour. Cognitive dissonance. Here we have the cartoon. Unpleasant truths and comforting lies. And the political cartoonist here says that people would much rather hear comforting lies than unpleasant truths, even if they know that it is a lie. It's cognitive dissonance. I'm okay with a lie if it makes me feel better. Yeah, cognitive dissonance. Are you able to have two separate thoughts in your head that disagree with each other, like equality and freedom, and it makes sense to you? Well, if you're able to do that, then good for you. That makes you human. There's all sorts of little fun cognitive dissonance tests out there. We're going to look at this when we get together on Zoom. We'll do some games like this. But so here, if we read these colors, and hopefully you're not looking on a black and white screen, because this would really be weird on a black and white screen. Does anybody have black and white screen? I'm just saying that. Okay. So if we read across left to right and down, then yellow, red, blue, green, orange, purple, black, brown, right? If we read up and down, yellow, blue, orange, black, red, green, purple, brown, and that's easy to do. And if I were to change those up, then here we have reading across yellow, red, blue, green, orange, purple, black, brown. But I've changed the colors on you, and you can see yellow is the only one that's the original color. Now that's pretty easy for a lot of English speakers to read the words, because if they can just kind of focus out the colors and just read the words like I just did, then you could. And plus, if you remember from the previous slide, right? But if I were to ask you, let's go back a slide. If I were to ask you to look at the color itself and tell me what the color is, well, it helps that when I look at the red, it says red. If I go here, the word red is now turned green. And if I were to look at this screen and say, all right, tell me the colors in order, then I would say yellow, green, orange, purple, black, right, because of the color that it's in. The problem with that is those are two different parts of your head. You're reading taxonomy stuff in your head, and your color identification, which is on your occipital. Those are different parts of your head, and it's a cognitive dissonance issue. We're going to play with this. We're going to play with this on Tuesday and see how fast you can do stuff like that. We'll see. All right. Here's a Dilbert. And Dilbert Cartoon, and the boss tells Dilbert, he says, Dilbert says to the boss, Dilbert's the one with in the red shirt, "You assigned a pack of idiots to my project team." The boss says, "We can't afford to hire good people." Dilbert says, "How am I supposed to create world-class products with a team of disruptive idiots?" The boss says, "Well, try working extra hard." "You want us to be more energetic about our bad decisions?" The boss says, "You also have to put in the hours." Dilbert says, "Are you saying bad decisions plus long hours plus lots of enthusiasm produces great engineering?" The boss says, "No, I just stand around yakking all day." Cognitive dissonance. All those terrible things are going to get a good product, right? The more work you put into it, the better it's going to be. Well, I think you can certainly come up with times in your life that was not true. I mean, it's a truism, but it's not always true, right? The more you work on it, the better it is. Sometimes it's like, hey, whatever pops out at first, that's the best answer, right? Moving on. Cultural appropriation and cognitive dissonance. And so here we have Native American, yeah? Looks very Native American. This is the same guy. And I was about to say, all cleaned up. But then that shows cultural bias, doesn't it? All cleaned up, and he's becoming more. He's being forced to be more Americanized. They're going to force him to learn English. They're going to force him to learn Jesus, and they're going to force him to dress like that, comparatively. And so we can argue it's still happening around the world. I mean, like I said, K-pop. I mean, I can't. Anyway, moving on. Over the last few centuries, all cultures were changed almost beyond recognition by a flood of global influences. Here we have at the bottom, this is the survey, the home language survey that we all fill out for a Western Heights student. Well, actually, if you're in the state of Oklahoma, we all fill that out and to show what languages we speak. So that way, when we call your mama, since you're making like a 4 in anthropology class, like a 4%, and we call your mama, we'll pull this up and we'll say, okay, what language is spoken in the home? And if it's English or Spanish or Vietnamese sometimes, then we can get a translator. Probably not for English. British English. When does somebody put British English or Australian? Good day, mate. Wait, nobody understands? Okay, moving on. So you check the boxes, and I find this interesting because here are the boxes here are your options in the state of Oklahoma. Is the student Hispanic or Latino? Is the student of Hispanic or Latino culture or origin? So the first question you got to ask is, what's the difference between Hispanic and Latino? And let's cover that on Tuesday when we meet in Zoom, shall we? And then, so that's a yes or no. And then it says, also then select one of the following: African American black, African American black, American Indian, Alaskan Native, Asian, white, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islander. Okay, so that means everybody from Europe. Nope. What if you're African French? If you're African French, what do you pick? Because you're not white, you're not Asian, you're not African American. Oh, I guess technically you'd be black. American Indian, Alaskan Native. What if you're Canadian? Oh, I guess that makes you white. Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, you could be black Canadian. African. Right? That's the whole point, guys. That's the whole point. It can be confusing. And then the next question is, why does the state of Oklahoma need to know that? Yeah, it's a big melting pot, right? Big melting pot. Sushi, sushi. That's Japan has sushi. Yeah, but so does the Chinese restaurants in Chinese restaurants in Oklahoma City. You can go get some sushi, and there you go. Please note that the sushi in the sushi in Oklahoma City is not sushi in Japan. The sushi in Japan. So let's see. I got up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Got down to the docks at the fish market at 4:30 in the morning, and the giant tuna. And when I say giant, I mean we're talking about like 1,000-pound fish. Like one fish, one individual fish, 1,000 pounds, and they're hauling these bad boys out of the nets, and they're throwing them down onto these giant planks. And as a teacher, an American teacher, I'm like treated like royalty. It was actually pretty cool, but I was treated like royalty, and so I'm going up and down the docks, and these merchants, these fish market merchants, are with my translator with me, and she's explaining who I am, and so they're saying they want to know if I'd like to try their fish, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, that fish is like still like flopping around. I mean, it's 1,000 pounds, it's flopping around on the ground, and I kid you not, the guy takes out a sword, like a katana, like a sword, chops the head off of this 1,000-pound fish, chops the tail off of this 1,000-pound fish, so now the fish is like only 970 pounds, whatever it is. And then he takes like a corkscrew, and he pushes it into the side of the fish and twists it and pulls it out, and then maybe more like a melon baller, and he pulls it out, and so it's a piece about this big, and he hands it to me, and my translator says, he wants you to taste it to see if it's fresh enough. And I was like, it's like the head's still, and the tail's still flipping around. I mean, they've been cut off. Yes, it's fresh. The fish it's pretty dang fresh. I mean, it was fresh. So that's sushi in Japan. Sushi in Oklahoma City, right? Okay, moving on. But here we have the what do we call that? The melting pot of America, and all the different ethnic groups in the class, and they're all doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Yay! Again, the story from Japan when I had a picture of my sixth grade class, and I showed it to my Japanese class, and the teacher there, the sensei, through the translator, he said, "You have so many different colors in your class," and I looked at it and thinking, what? And you look at Japanese class, and they're all in uniform, right? They're nice dark navy blue uniforms, and everybody's wearing the same shoes, and it's kind of cool looking. And then I look at my class, a picture of my sixth graders, and they're wearing, ratty clothes and nice clothes and reds and blues and oranges and greens and whatever. And I said, yeah, we don't have a uniform code at my middle school. And through the translator, the sensei says, no, I'm talking about the colors of your kids. And I looked at the photo and I was like, yeah, I mean, I've got 5 Hispanics and 8 African Americans and 10 Caucasians and a couple of Asians and a Native American in there. Yeah, so? And the sensei says, but how do you teach all the different colors? And I was like, and it dawned on me as I look up, and now I'm not looking at the kids' uniforms, I'm looking at the kids' faces, and they're all Japanese. It's a very interesting thought that, you're like, oh, he's never seen a different colored kid. It's just weird to even say that, right? But it was a fun little thing, and I had to explain that no, all of my Western Heights kids, they're all equally dumb. So, wait, have they all graduated? Yeah, that was a long time ago, so there you go. Right, cultural appropriation. But I'm honoring you, dude, wearing all the Native American stuff. And here we are in the year 2020, and we have the Washington football team. We can't even say the word Redskins anymore, because the Washington Redskins, that's culturally inappropriate. we're going to play this game again on Tuesday, so try not to look at all the answers. Hey, we're finally getting the money. This is a little longer than normal. I know, I get it, but that's okay. You have nothing else to do. Okay. Money, the root of all evil. See, get it? It says the square root. Evil, money is. Let's get that one. Okay. Where do we get that phrase? Money is the root of all evil. It comes from 1 Timothy 6. Man, I told myself I'd remember this. 6:10, 1 Timothy 6:10. Money, for the love of money is the root of all evil. You know, since I pulled that off the internet, I thought I better check that out there. I better look that up, just make sure. And I pulled out my 1611 King James version, and sure enough, that's what it says. So if it's in the Bible, it must be true. Hey, it's Dr. Evil over there on a $1 million. Let's see. Proof that girls are evil. Just make sure that we're all on the same page here. Proof that girls are evil. First, we state that girls require time and money. So girls equals time times money. And as we all know, time is money. So time equals money. Girls, which that means girls equals money times money, which equals money squared. Okay. Say this is simple algebra 1. You can do this. And because money is the root of all evil, that means money equals the square root of evil. Okay, I get that. And therefore, girls is equal to the square root of evil squared. And then to simplify that, then girls are equal evil. So there you go. Girls. Proof that girls are evil. I can't even make that up. I mean, it's perfectly true math. So when the conquistadors, Cortez and Pizarro and Coronado and the gang, and they all showed up over here in Central America, and they started, robbing the Aztecs and the Incans blind. The story says that I don't think it was Montezuma, but it might have been Montezuma. Asked Cortez, "Hey, why do you need all this gold?" And Cortez's response was, quote, "Because I and my companions suffer from a disease of the heart, which can only be cured with gold." Huh. I mean, gold cures a lot of problems. So gold coins, they've been around a long time. But you can use gold coins for politics also. Here are some square coins. Can you have square? I get. Yeah, it's coin. Does coin imply that it's round? Does it? I'm just now thinking this through. Let me think this out loud. Coin. Does that imply it's a round? I think it implies it, but is that by definition is it round? I don't think it is. Well, I don't know. If I flip a coin indicates to me that there are two sides, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's round. Huh. Okay. Let's talk about that on Tuesday. So these are some square coins. Hey, some square coins. And interestingly enough, they are minted by Christians, but they are minted with the phrase, "There is no God except Allah, and Muhammad is Allah's messenger." And since you know from world history that is one of the tenets of Islam, then there you go. But as I pointed out about 30 seconds ago, before I started going to my diatribe about square coins, you can use coin. Some of these people have been using coins as political shots. So here we have, again, one of the tenets of Islam, but the word Muhammad is misspelled. And you think to yourself, there's 3 reasons for that. Reason number 1, it's a simple spelling mistake, because the Arabic language and their vowels don't necessarily line up with the English vowels. And so, I get that. 2, well, there's the idea out there that the name of Muhammad and or the image, the likeness of Muhammad, should not be put out into the general public. And so therefore, if you misspell the name, then you're not actually saying Muhammad, it's just implied. And therefore you're still you're not the letter of the law, you're meeting the spirit of the law. So you could be doing it for good reasons. Of course, you could also be doing it simply because you're misspelling the name of the prophet of the Islamic faith, simply because you're taking a shot at the Islamic faith. Which one of those three? I don't wonder. Which one of these three are the correct answer? Are any of you numaticists? I think I got that right. Is that right? Coin collectors? Coin collecting? Numaticists? Numatism? Are any of you coin collectors? I used to coin collect a little bit, but that was back in the 80s when we had the good guys and the bad guys, the Russians, the evil Soviet Empire, with the Social Soviet Republic of Latvia, the evil bad guys, and from our point of view. And so I collected some coins. But here's some coins, and you can kind of see, let's see, it looks like a Chinese coin. Oh, maybe that's a Japanese coin. And then the yen, and then you've got the, there's the Sacagawea dollar, and then you've got the, okay, the point is, actually the point is, this is why Europe said, was that, what, 20 years ago, said, you know what, let's just make all of our coins the same, and then that way call it the euro, and then that way it all works out, which is great if you get a chance to go to Europe, because you can use the same coins, versus having francs and Deutschmarks and lira. Nobody uses lira anymore, crazy lira. And the pound, oh yeah, the British. But not everybody's always used coins. We've used all sorts of stuff in the history of humans. We've used shells, cattle, skins, salt, grain, beads, cloth, promissory notes. We've used just about anything you can use. Yep, we've used cows. Oh, that poor cow. Hey, it says in my little book that I'm getting some of this information out of that cowrie shells, so there's some cowrie shells. That's what they look like. And you're sitting there thinking, I think I have a necklace of those somewhere in my drawer somewhere, right? Cowrie shells. Cowrie shells could be used to pay taxes in the early 1900s in Uganda. Huh. Cowrie shells. 1900s. I mean, I was born in the 1900s. I know you guys weren't, but it wasn't that long ago. You might have older brothers and sisters who were born in, your parents were born in the 1900s. People were paying in shells in the 1900s in Uganda. Huh. Man. The Lydians are the first ones to come up with the coin idea. Well, they get the credit. I don't know if they came up, but they're the oldest coins that we've been able to find. And so they took electrum, which is a mixture of gold and silver, and stamped out coins, right? Of course, then later they started taking more of the gold out, because gold has a different melting point than silver, so you can kind of get the gold out, and or the silver out, and then then you start adding more silver, and so it's still the color of gold, but it's not as expensive, and then you start adding copper in there, you start cheating, and hey, there you go. That's how you make money. By cheating people. So the Lydian coins, and you notice that they have stamps, it looks like of a lion and something. And so it goes back to at least, probably about 2,600 years ago that they had coins. So what makes coins a big deal? Well, coins are a big deal because, one, they're actually manifest. You can hold them in your hands. And two, if you think about it, the person who's on the coin is generally a very powerful political leader. And in a sense, when you hold up a quarter that has President Washington's face on it, it's like, if you don't accept this coin as payment, you're going to irritate the ghost of George Washington, because, this is George Washington. See, you have Alexander the Great. You don't want to irritate that guy, dude, because he's Alexander the Great. he's been dead for like 300 years, and George Washington's been dead for, I can do this, 221 years ago. He's been dead for 221 years. And then, who's this? Oh, that is, I missed one. Olympia, that says Olympia in Greek letters. Look at me teaching you Greek letters. I'm not really I'm just reading it. And then, there you go. There's one who's still alive. Elizabeth II. $10. What, they have a $10 coin? Wow, that's kind of cool. $10 coin. Well, all right. Cigarettes. How about cigarettes as coinage or as money? Auschwitz, right? So World War II, the concentration camps at Auschwitz in Poland, and you have, they're talking about prices of different things. You could pay in cigarettes. So it says here, a loaf of bread costs 12 cigarettes. I mean, I don't smoke. I've never smoked, so I mean, okay. 12 cigarettes, loaf of bread. Okay. 10-ounce package of margarine is 30 cigarettes. A watch is worth 80 to 200 cigarettes. Does anybody even wear watches anymore? I used to, but a quarter gallon. So a quarter of a gallon. That's not that much. A quarter of a gallon. So was that two pints? No, wait, is that right? What? How many pints? 4 pints in a gallon. So half pint. So that's two. So that's two cartons of school milk. Am I doing the math right? 2 cartons of school milk, 400 cigarettes. Wow. I mean, I don't drink either, so I mean, okay. Here's an interesting fact. I know we're going a little longer than normal, and partly because I'm just going off on really wild rabbit holes, and partly because, well, it's just a little longer. So it goes like this. We only have like $6 trillion of actual money on the planet. And we're talking about gold, silver, I mean, $6 trillion. We only have that much paper bills. We only have $6 trillion. But here's what's interesting. If we were to add up everybody's bank account, like everybody's bank account, including the United States, although I guess that's a negative, but including China, including Trump, including Bill Gates, including everybody's bank account, like everybody's, we have $60 trillion in our bank account. 60 trillion. There's actually only 6 trillion. So 1/10 of the amount that's in the banks, we only have 1/10 of that on the planet. Which, if you're paying attention in American history, this is why we have panics, right? The Panic of 1819, the Panic of 1828. We've got all sorts of these panics that when people run to the bank and they're like, I want my money, and they're like, we don't have the money because we ran out of money, and so that's a bad deal. So you have to ask yourself, where's all the rest of the money? Well, all the rest of the money is in computers. Oh, that's not scary at all, that $54 trillion is floating around there using ones and zeros. That's not scary at all, which makes me think that I'm in the wrong business. I probably should have been into computer programming and been one of the world's foremost hackers. Is it too late? I mean, I'm almost 50. Is it too late to start learning how to hack computers? Is it too late? Well, I'm pretty bright. I mean, are there any banking systems that still use COBOL and Pascal and Fortran? And you guys are like, we've heard of those computer languages, like when we read our old history books. I know, shut up, I'm not that old. Because money can be easily stored and to convert, store, and transport, it works out great for human societies, for anthropology. So you can take a coin and you can transport it across the country, and then that coin will buy something that you didn't want to have to haul all the way across the country. That works out great for humans and societies, and storytelling, and all the different big memes that are out there. Hey, see it all? It's all coming together. See? The dollar bill. I think this is our last slide. 3 more slides. The dollar bill, ubiquitous dollar bill. You don't get to say the word ubiquitous too much. The ubiquitous dollar bill. On the front, we've got 4 signatures. 2 signatures. We've got 2 signatures, and then we've also got "In God We Trust." That's on the back, and so and then we have the president. So George Washington, and then on the $2 bill we've got Jefferson, and the 5 we've got Lincoln, and the Hamilton and Franklin, and et cetera, et cetera. Oh, I miss Jackson and Grant in there. Okay, so anyway, some big boys, and the argument is the same thing as on the coin. You're going to take this piece of flimsy cotton paper, because if you don't, then you're going to irritate the ghost of Abraham Lincoln, and you don't want to irritate the ghost of Abraham Lincoln or Andrew Jackson or any of those guys. So you're going to take it, and then on the backside, if you don't take it, then you are not. I mean, obviously, then God's going to get you, because in God we trust. With this little piece of cotton paper, In God We Trust. Hey, you know the history of In God We Trust actually came out in 1931. In 1931, the United States Congress passed the law that says, hey, the Star Spangled Banner should be our banner. I know. Just give me a second. I'll get through the story. We said the Star Spangled Banner should be the national anthem, and everybody's like, yay! Well, after the two ladies sang it because they thought it was too hard to sing. But the point is that in the third stanza of the Star Spangled Banner, which you didn't even know that there were three. There's actually four. Well, there's kind of five, but there's four stanzas in the official Star Spangled Banner, and we all just sing the first one. But in the third one, it says, "And our motto is," and I'm not going to sing it to you, but our motto is, "In God We Trust." So that was written by Francis Scott Key way back in 1814 when he wrote that. And so then somebody was saying, "Hey, we just passed this, and now this is our national song, our national anthem." And by the way, in the third stanza, it says, "Our motto is, in God we trust." And so then somebody was like, well, we should probably, since we passed the law that says that's our song, we should probably then go ahead and say that's our motto, because, it's in our song. And so there you go. That's why we say, "In God we trust." And that's why in, 1956-ish, that we said, "And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God." We had to add those into the Pledge of Allegiance, because I know, I'm just sitting here thinking, okay. Trust. Gold and silver, it works everywhere. Why does gold and silver work everywhere? Gold. Well, they're both. They're shiny. That's important. They're shiny, which makes them beautiful. They're malleable, which means you can turn them into basically anything. They are conductive, which, early days they didn't really know anything about that. But really, today we're like, dude, gold. If you go up, if you're not doing anything, you want to go catch the Voyager spacecrafts, which are now like outside the solar system. All of their circuitry is made out of gold because it's a really good conductor. But shiny, malleable, and arguably the most important thing, they're very rare. And so if they're rare, then there you go, which makes them worth a lot. And you can trade gold and silver just about anywhere on the planet. Here's your last slide for the day. I know. It seems like, I know. For thousands of years, philosophers, I'm just going to read it. For thousands of years, philosophers, thinkers, and prophets have besmirched, that's a fantastic word, besmirched money and called it the root of all evil. Be that as it may, money is also the apogee of human tolerance. Apogee, that means the top, like the top part of the hill, the apogee. Money is more open-minded than language. Okay, now this is interesting. Money. So money is a noun. Money is a thing, right? Money is more open-minded than language, state laws, cultural codes, religious beliefs, and social habits. That's an interesting statement. We'll talk about it. Money is the only trust system created by humans that can bridge almost any cultural gap. Money does not discriminate based on religion, gender, race, age, or sexual orientation. It doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, what race you are, what God you believe in or don't believe in. It doesn't matter. Money is equal. That's interesting. And that may be the only thing that is like that. You say, well, truth and justice. Is that? Are we going to equate money with truth? No, we're not going to do that. All right. Here you go. 3 things to end the thing. Life is hard. Money doesn't care. Your tears don't add value. That's funny. Life is a game. Money is how we keep score. Right now, Dr. Jones is late in the third, or he's at the beginning of the third quarter, and if we're my score's not very high. I'm a public school teacher in Oklahoma. What do you want? My score's not very high right now. what was my plan on getting rich? Like, I was talking about it like 25 minutes ago. I don't remember what it was. Millionaire. Oh, here's a new word for you. You got your billionaire and your trillionaire. We don't have any trillionaires yet, although we're getting close. A billionaire, a millionaire. So here's a nil with an N. A millionaire, someone having little to no money. Hey, millionaire right here. In fact, I might be an advanced, how would you say it? Advanced millionaire? I don't know. All right, everybody. I'll see you on Tuesday on Zoom and or Thursday on Zoom. You know the drill. Be good. I'll see you later.